A wave of xenophobia and racism is sweeping China. Africans are being targeted and forced onto the streets. Welcome back to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. When the Chinese Communist Party unleashed the deadly coronavirus pandemic upon the world, do you remember what their response was? Calling the US racist for saying it started in China. Chinese media wrote that some American officials, including Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, are using Wuhan virus, which is considered a racist term. Thank you, Global Times. You truly are my favorite state-run media. Yes, according to the Global Times, anyone who says Wuhan virus is racist, which includes, plot twist, the Global Times. I mean, that's why I started calling it the CCP virus. I'm not racist. In fact, party mouthpiece Xinhua said racism is actually worse than the coronavirus. Back in February, Chinese state-run media was saying the US travel ban on people who had recently been in China was an anti-China action, and all countries should lift travel restrictions. Fast forward to the end of March, and China put in place its own travel ban, one that's way more restrictive than anything the US did. Because for China, it doesn't matter which country you've recently been in, as long as you're ethnically a foreigner, China has now banned you from entering the country. You might think that's hypocritical, but you see, it isn't. When the Chinese government uses travel restrictions to stop the spread of the coronavirus they caused, that's necessary. When the US does it to stop the spread of the coronavirus the Chinese government caused, that's racist. When they do it, it's fine. When America does it, it's racist. Obviously. In a recent Foreign Ministry press briefing, a reporter from state-run Xinhua News asked, "There have been reports of some foreigners complaining about discrimination and rising xenophobia in China. Do you have any comment?" And the Foreign Ministry spokesman said, "China opposes all forms of discrimination and prejudice." Cue the racial purge.
A large number of African people in the southern Chinese city Guangzhou were driven out by their landlords and had to stay on the streets. Another video shows many Africans dragging their luggage aimlessly through the streets of Guangzhou. One of them says, "We are just walking on the road. They can't give us a house, they can't give us a hotel, and they cannot provide a place we can stay."
And how did the Chinese authorities respond to a bunch of evicted Africans walking down the street? By sending the police to follow and harass them. There are even reports of authorities taking away their passports. There is literally nowhere for these people to go.
Nigerians in China are suffering. They are suffering well. Nigerians in China. Child. It's a pity. Nigeria in China is suffering. It's a pity. Oh my God. Now, while there are definitely examples of people in America being xenophobic against Chinese people,
every disease has ever came from China. It's disgusting.
what's happening in Guangzhou is racial discrimination by the government itself.
Huddled on cobbled streets with layers of clothing to generate heat under the cold skies of Guangzhou city, this is the new way of life for Africans living in China. Africans have become subjects of racial profiling. Chinese nationals blame them for the rising number of new coronavirus cases in the country.
Although it's not limited to the government either. A McDonald's franchise in Guangzhou posted this notice saying that black people are not allowed to enter the restaurant. McDonald's Corporation was not happy about what that franchise owner did, and they shut them down temporarily. Now, it is true that in the Guangzhou district known as Little Africa, 16 people have tested positive for the CCP virus. But 16? That's not a lot. More cases might come to light, but the reason there's a second wave of the coronavirus in China is because of the Chinese Communist Party's continued cover-up and forcing people to go back to work. It's not because of a small number of African immigrants, no matter how much they try to blame it on them. For more on that, check out our episode, China May See a Second Wave of Infections. There are now instances of what Chinese authorities are calling imported cases of the coronavirus. But 90% of those were Chinese passport holders returning to China, according to China's foreign ministry. Despite facts, There's been reports of more and more anti-foreigner sentiment in China, particularly against black people who are seen as diseased rapists.
国内目前的外国人给大家的印象并不是很好，像新闻总会爆出来很多黑人强奸啊这种事件。我不是针对这一个种族。
嗰啲客人咧玩咗嗰個女仔，個女仔有艾滋病，佢又玩咗另一個女大學生，個女大學生又有艾滋病。
This is not too surprising in a country where there's a commercial of a Chinese woman washing a black man with such a powerful laundry detergent that he becomes Chinese. Here are particularly classy comments from Weibo, the Chinese version of Twitter. Blacks are the most inferior race. I don't even know why people see them as humans. Can our country expel the blacks? Yes, I'm racist. They're ugly and have no quality. No matter what race, black or white, Chinese are superior. Wrong is wrong. We won't discriminate and look down on others. Wow. The Chinese version of Twitter is even more of a dumpster fire than regular Twitter. But these are just comments and actions from individuals. And there are racist people in every country, especially internet country. But in China, instead of there being laws to protect people against racist policies or attacks, the Chinese Communist Party and the government are totally cool with it. They actually create racist policies. For example, black residents in Guangzhou are being forced to remain inside their apartments even if they have not traveled anywhere that would warrant a quarantine and submit to coronavirus tests. It's not about where you've been, it's about what you look like. Chinese authorities did the same thing back in 2009 during the swine flu outbreak that started in Mexico. China was quarantining all Mexicans even if they hadn't been to Mexico. Sure, it's racist, but at least Chinese authorities are consistent. Xenophobic attitudes are only getting worse as the Chinese Communist Party tries to blame the coronavirus on foreigners. Throughout China, there are reports of businesses closing their doors to foreign friends. Though, hashtag not all Chinese. Here's a woman slamming authorities for, as they say, just following orders.
全部黑人隔离。全部黑人隔离，华人呢？白人呢？为什么你们不隔离他们呀？你们换位思考一下，我们中国同胞也有在国外的，也有在非洲的。如果这个事情传出去，你想我们的同胞在那边会怎么样？你们没想过这个问题？已经讲。我知道哈，你们是按章办事，这个我很理解。我们都是按照上级的要求来做的。
Ah, we're just doing our job. There's an argument that has never been used to justify anything bad before. But that woman was right. The Chinese Communist Party has been investing heavily in Africa as part of the Belt and Road Initiative, or as it's been called, colonialism with Chinese characteristics. Many African leaders have been eager to get Chinese money for their countries, or for themselves and their cronies. But this persecution of African nationals inside China is putting the Communist Party's Africa plans in jeopardy. A Nigerian official confronted their Chinese ambassador about it. So did the president of the African Union, who is probably already a little upset at the Chinese Communist Party for that time they spied on the African Union for 5 years. In response to these complaints from African nations, Chinese diplomats denied everything. And now that this issue has become a major diplomatic mess for the Chinese Communist Party, they're promising equal treatment for Africans. But in a country where just 3 months ago, Chinese media denied the coronavirus could be spread human to human, there's only one thing you can trust. The Chinese officials are lying. And now it's time for me to answer a question from a member of the China Uncensored 50 Cent Army. They're viewers like you who support China Uncensored on the crowdfunding website Patreon. This support is important because YouTube often demonetizes our videos about controversial topics. So today's question comes from Fang Lin. I hope Tedros can stand up and ask China to stop real racism against African people like he did with a baseless claim toward Taiwan. But I know he won't because his pocket is so full of RMB, he cannot even stand up now. I'm glad you mentioned Tedros. He's the head of the World Health Organization and has basically done China's bidding since the start of the coronavirus pandemic. He's been getting a lot of criticism for that. So, what does he do? He played the race card. Here he is at a recent press conference.
But since I don't have any inferiority complex when I am personally affected or attacked by racial slurs, I don't care because I am a very proud black person or Negro. I don't care being called even Negro. I am. That's what came from some quarters. And if you want me to be specific, 3 months ago, this attack came from Taiwan.
Yes, he's calling the entire country and government of Taiwan racist based on nothing, really. As of yet, however, he has failed to say anything about what China is doing to Africans. And I think we know why that is. Thanks for your question. And a big thanks to the entire China Uncensored 50 Cent Army on Patreon. And if you like China Uncensored, make sure you subscribe. Even if you already have subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Because I found out YouTube has secretly been unsubscribing people from the show. So, yeah, double check. Thanks for watching China Uncensored. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.